Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is my screen visible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Can anyone just revise what we have seen in the last class? What we have covered in the previous portions? Can anyone give a recap of yesterday's class? Or you want me to call out the name?
Ma'am, we learnt about plastering, types of plastering, rendering, pointing.
Okay. And we started with the types of mortars. Yes,
Yeah, ma'am.
types of
Types of
mortars
mortar.
used for plastering work. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am.
We started with a mud mortar. We completed that. And we'll
Yes,
be
ma'am.
seeing about the lime plaster now.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. You can mute yourself. For the lime plaster, we saw the initial surface finish, like how the first coating will be done. We have to rub the surface and then we have to just damp it. Next, you have to go for the second coat. First coat, you'll be giving this lime is to sand ratio, you'll be providing it. That is the first coat. And we'll be seeing about the second coat today. The surface is exposed to 2 to 3 days after the first coat. Once your first coat is done, you have to wait for 2 to 3 days. Then you'll go for your second coat, where again you have to surface clean it. You may ask, you already surface cleaned it, but meanwhile the 2 to 3 days dust will be accumulated on the surface, which you have to again rub or remove the loose particles present in the wall, and again you have to go for the second coat. The surface is cleaned again of loose materials and dust and slightly wetted, and the second coat is applied similar to the first coat. The same proportion you apply it. The surface is beaten with flat edge to get a perfect smoothness and even surface. According to your third coat, you leave this for again 2 to 3 days. Then you go for the application of your third coat with the proportion of lime is to sand, the ratio of 1 is to 2. The surface is rubbed well with a wooden float, and then polished stone is used. Like you have to use the polished stone to provide a fine surface. You'll be having some rectangular type of wooden edges, and the steel is also available based upon the external use or the internal use. You go for different type of polishing material. And next is the cement plastering and cement lime plastering. So for the cement plastering, it is generally of the two coats is provided. This is generally used in low cost building materials. Low cost, you go only for single coats. The types of plaster finishes. You might have seen your bedrooms a little smoother one, and your external will be little rough. Did you all check it in your house? Any one or two? Did you check it?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
How was it? Was it all the same?
Yes, ma'am. They were quite same.
Okay. Anyone? Did you find any difference?
Outside was rough, ma'am.
Okay. The outside was rough. The inside was very smooth. We'll see why. What's the reason for that for the upcoming slides. This smooth cast plaster finish. In this finish, what will the surface will be very smooth and soft. The mortar for the finish may be made up of cement and fine sand. Already, you need a very fine coating, so you'll go for cement as the particle size is very less, and also very fine sand you'll be going. The mortar is applied with the help of the wooden float. With the help of the wooden float, you'll be having a rectangular type of wooden float. You will be having some rectangular type of wooden floats that you will be the mason will be holding that to take it to the top and bottom. He'll be having it to make it into a smooth finish. Steel floats are not recommended for external renderings since they give a very smooth surface. which is liable to it is if it is very smooth in the outer surface, then it will be very prone to cracks, and grazings will be done. It is like exposed both to sun as well as very cold temperature. So the surface should be little rough. Generally, this kind of plaster is used to coat the internal walls. Rough plaster finishing. This plaster is a mixture of sand and gravel, which is covered on the freshly plastered surfaces. Rough cast plaster. Have you seen this type in any newly constructed buildings? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is also known as Spartan dash finish, the very rough thing. This will be provided mostly in the industrial exposed buildings, or the heavy structures where heavy handling of equipments, or industrials, or some other factory related things are done. For that, the outer plastering or the inner plastering will be very rough. Mortar used to get the rough cast finish. It consists of the coarse aggregate. Coarse aggregate minimum of 3 to 12 aggregate, along with the cement and sand. The proportion of one part of coarse aggregate, 1.5 proportion of cement, and 3 portion of sand is being mixed, and that is being applied. A large quantity of mortar is taken by the trowel. Like, you have to mix the mortar, you just take it using the trowel, and then you have to dash it against the wall. It will get stuck to it, and then you have to go for leveling. And leveled using wooden float. Generally, this type of plaster finish is preferred for external renderings, that is external portion of your building, because it is waterproof, durable, and resistant to cracking. Sand-faced plaster finish. Have you seen this type in the internal walls? When people are constructing the internal walls, smooth sand and cement slurry will be used for this mortar. Sand-faced plaster is a layer of cement sand mortar applied on the brickwork, and it also serves as a damp-proof coat. The main purpose is damp-proof. Like, water should not penetrate into it. That is the reason. So if it is closely packed, then water will not penetrate through it. This type of plaster is used to give a finishing touch to the surface on the walls, like towards your internal walls, or any part of the building, maybe your rooms, or any partition walls. You'll be having this. Over this, you can coat it with many colors, or that is left up to you to choose the outer plastering and the preliminary coatings. To some extent, they serve as a sound and thermal insulation material. A sponge is used on the second coat when the second coat is wet. Like, when the second coat is wet, you use a sponge to remove the extra dust, and you just go for the outer coating of the paint. Like sand grain, and makes the surface equal and uniform. This plasters are used to they are used to reduce the cracking and crazing. You know about cracking. You might have seen what cracking is. That will generally be developed, and what are crazing are. You'll be seeing about crazing. That also will show you the image. And this is a textured plaster finish. Here, can you see? You might have seen in many resorts, or any maybe nowadays people constructing villas, they provide this external textured walls. People are preferring to go for textured walls instead of normal walls. Have you ever seen this textured? Like, there'll be so many undulations. If you keep your hand, you can feel that it is not even.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
That is for like, people have started moving on to this because they wanted some uniqueness for their building. If there are some 200, 300 rows of houses in a building, they wanted to, like, easily provide some aesthetic view to their building. They want a simple uniqueness. They want to be like a little unique among others. They wanted to show some extra things, so they have moved on to this textured finish. Textured plaster finish can be created with different tools on the final coat. This final coat, it depends. There are some pointed brushes which are available. Like, once the coating is done, they do just grab it, they'll rub it, and they'll remove the extra things. They'll finish it with the coat, they'll again scrub it, and they'll remove the things. The left portion will be your wall. It looks like a new type of wall. This type of finish possesses all the advantages as rough cast. It is though it carries advantages, it is like you have to go for a second work. You have to scrub it again. Next is pebble dash. You might have seen this in the beachside resorts or any star hotels. This type of this will be provided in your parking slots or your entrance of the building. You might have seen those things. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Pebble dash plaster is similar to the rough cast plaster. It is this finish is it is made up of very small pebbles or crushed stones. How they'll do this is they'll prepare the cement slurry, let it dry for a few hours, then they'll dash all those stones against the wall. They'll like put it in the huge and they'll rub it. They'll make sure that it gets set with the cement slurry. And after that, like once it is all set, later they'll remove the cement slurry with the sponge. Then only the exposed area will be this portion. This stones will be exposed. After pressing cement slurry is cleared, then you have to get only these stones. This only will be visible. After hardened, they'll provide an aesthetic look to the structure. Like once it is all hard, you have different type of colors, dark brown, light gray, light brown, black, everything is there. In between that, you will be having your cement particle also. But from your outside, only this stones will be, this pebbles or the stone types will be shown. And yesterday, someone of you asked what is curing. Curing, it is like you might have seen people watering the newly constructed structures. It may be a column or a floor slab or the roof, even any material. Like once it is made up of concrete, they'll do cure it. Have you seen those things? People curing it, watering it.
Yes, ma'am.
Mason will be standing on the top of the room. He'll be pouring water with his hose.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
The main
Yes,
purpose
ma'am.
of this curing is thank you, gentlemen. The main purpose of this curing is this concrete is made up of cement. Though you use some mixing water for the cement, like you have some composite materials, cement, water, sand, aggregates. You bind everything using water. Though this is required for internal thing, you need some protection from the environment to not damage it, or it needs some moisture to grow. That's the thing. Curing of cement is defined as the process of maintaining the moisture and temperature conditions of concrete for hydration reaction. Normally, that the concrete develops in the hardened proper. Like once it is hard, only the strength will develop. When it is wet, you cannot feel the strength. You cannot check for the strength. When it is quite hard, one day it will be better. For 3 days, it will be good. When you take it for 28 days, your strength will be quite hard. Meanwhile, the hydration process internally will take place in a faster manner. The main components which need to be taken care are moisture, heat, and time. You might have seen, like next time or whenever you go to the site, you can see when people are not curing it properly. In the early age, some 3 to 7 days itself, you might have noticed some few cracks. That is due to the lack of proper curing. People are not providing proper curing, then the structure may start cracking. Or any exfoliations or like spalling of concrete, those things will be observed. Okay, and that's all. We have finished about plastering. We'll see what are the defects found in plastering works. The main defects are unevenness. Like if proper skilled labor is not doing this works, we may see some bubbles over our plastered work. Like but nowadays professionals are doing it. Before we might see some undulations, like some bubbles will be there. Some places it will be like little hole like things. These are the unevenness in the surface. Next is rust stains. It may appear on the plaster because of presence of iron. That will be there. Some people, they might have used a rusted tool to just plaster it evenly. That also may stick onto the surface and finally show some rust stains. And you might have seen some the plastering work, like you will be doing the plastering work, you let it for some time, you might have inserted some provision, or you might have inserted a rod into your building where that things also get stuck to your building. Efflorescence. Efflorescence is nothing but the deposit of soluble salts on the surface. You might have seen some white patches in the building. Maybe in your houses, you may see some white patches. That is due to improper plastering work. This is due to the presence of unburnt salt in lime, or the unburnt sands maybe, soil may be used in the bricks. Those things lead to the efflorescence. And blistering, the development of one or more local swellings, this type of things. This is called blistering. This will be observed on the final finished plasters. And this may be due to the reason that late slaking of lime. You know what is slaking of lime? You know what is slaking of lime?
All the calcium oxide converts to calcium carbonate.
Yeah, that's true. The simple thing is, when you mix water to the quick lime, it becomes a little slurry-like thing. It gets hydrated. That content is called slaking of lime. When it is getting late, this this types of lumps or few swellings can be observed in your plastering work. So when it is that, when you have mixed it, you have to immediately paste that to your wall. You have left it for a few things. Meanwhile, your mason might have gone for a break, and meanwhile he is back. He'll just mix it and just put it. That will cause this type of blisterings. And this is cracking. I think you all will be familiar about this crackings. You might have seen in each and every one's house will be having a cracking.
Yes,
Cracking
ma'am.
appears if cracking appears if all surface are not prepared properly. Movement due to thermal expansion or rapid drying. Movement in the plaster itself. Excessive shrinkage of plaster. Like once the materials are exposed to the atmosphere, we have different type of materials to make a wall. You have the brick, you have the cement, you have the plastering works, you have the mortar, you have the sand. All those are different materials. It will like each has its own shrinking capacity. Like once it all shrinks, the surface will be dry. It will start forming this type of cracks. Mild cracks it will start, then it will start developing into huge cracks. What is crazing? We'll see crazing. We have already crossed across this word crazing. Crazing is nothing but the development of fine air cracks. These may be due to shrinkage or due to the temperature exposure, and flaking and peeling. The scaling away of the patches of plaster surface. Can you see this? I told you yesterday, like if there is some exposed area, you can go just scratch it and see what is there inside. This is called like flaking or peeling of the surfaces. Scaling away of the patches of plastered wall due to lack or loss of adhesion with the previous coat. Like if your house is done with the painting, it's some 10 to 15 years old, you want to again paint it, you just call some unskilled professional who's locally available. You call them, you ask them to paint. What they'll do, they'll just rub the surface, they'll just go for the next coating. But the thing is, you have to remove the previous thing. That is not good actually. So it is the atmosphere or the internal thing has damaged it entirely. That's the reason the paint has been faded. You're going for the additional coat. So you have to remove it completely, and then you have to go for the again surface preparation. Then you have to go for the plastering work, and then you have to go for the final coat. The removal of substantial areas of plaster work from the background. Popping. It is the appearance of conical hollows pops the backing of finishing coats of the surface. You may see that those types of blisterings, it will know a bigger one, or the it will be like some bubbles you can find out. Like when the mason is mixing the lime slurry properly, if he didn't do, he's just hitting on the wall and just think, there will be a bubble. You can see that bubble, like it will be the bubble will be burst, but the impression of the bubble will be shown. Those things are also called as popping. And we'll see about, like we have seen about plastering. Now we'll go to pointing. Any doubts as of now? Yes.
கேட்காதடா கவர்மெண்ட்ல நீ கொடுத்துருவ நமக்கு பிரைவேட் நம்ம எதுக்கு நேட்டிவிட்டி கேக்குறோம்
Kindly mute yourself.
பிரைவேட் இதுக்கெல்லாம் தான வரும் ஸ்டேட் கோட்டா ஆல் ஓவர் இந்தியா கோட்டா சொல்ல சிஎம்சி பரவாயில்லை ஸ்டேட்
Okay. Any doubts? Shall we move to the next topic? Okay. We'll see what is pointing. Process of finishing. Thank you. Process of finishing mortar joints only to make the structure watertight. You can see a masonry work is done. There are some gaps. Now you're going to fill that gaps using cement slurry. That's the thing. You're going to make the structure watertight. Mostly the masonry blocks are exposed in this case and are used to economize the construction. We'll see what are the steps used for this pointing work. The joints are racked to a depth of 10 to 20 mm. Now we are going to load this. The gap is about 10 to 20 mm. You are going to load this with your cement mortar or the cement slurry. Lime mortar may be used. Cement mortar may be used. Kindly mute yourself. Lime mortar in the ratio of 1:2 may be used. Cement mortar, the cement and sand. Cement, sand and 3 can be used. Sias, kindly just remove them from the meeting. Yes. Brushes are used to remove the dust from the joints. Then the surface is washed. Again, whatever thing you go, whatever surface preparation you go, first you remove it. You just water the surface and make it wet. And then you prepare the mortar and you just place it in between these gaps using trowels. Then like you have to place it, then press it against tightly and remove the excess things. Curing it for a minimum of 3 days if lime mortar and 10 days in case of cement mortar. You have crossed over this term, curing. You know what is curing. We'll see the types of pointing. The types of pointing, you have so many points. First, we'll see about what is flush point. Flush pointing is, this is your external wall. Okay, this is your external wall. Now we are going to put this inside this. You are going to pack it completely. Mortar is pressed hard in the rack joints and by finishing off flush with the edge of masonry units. The edges are neatly trimmed. Like you have to put it, stuff it, and then remove the excess thing. You are removing it using the trowel and the straighting edge. It doesn't give good appearance, but it is more durable because of the resisting the provision of space. Like there is no gap for you don't provide any gap for any external material or any bacterial thing or any dust to just get, or like if you if it is exposed to water, it is raining also, like there will be no provision to air voids to enter. So everything is completely packed now. And this is the most widely used pointing method, flush pointing. And we'll see what is recessed pointing. Recessed pointing, the thing is you are going to provide some offset here. Some gap you are going to provide. Mortar is pressed back, which means this gap should be 5 mm or more from the edges. During placing of mortar, the facing of the pointing is kept vertical by using a suitable tool. This type gives a very good appearance. Like you after finishing of all those recession of 5 mm or more inside your between the gaps between the bricks, like when you see the elevation will be looking good, like you'll be able to notice that each and every bricks will be highlighted. That thing you can be able to see, that gives good appearance. Next is beaded pointing. Beaded pointings, you see this is the brick and this is the brick. In between you have a bead-like structure. Can you see? Like it comes like this. This bead-like structure, that is called the beaded pointing. It is formed by a steel or ironed with the concave edge. You have some template for it. You put the thing and you just press it and remove the excess thing. It gives good appearance, but it will damage easily when compared to other types. It is you have this shape. It will get it will be exposed to water or dust or wind. Everything it will be exposed easily. This will be getting damaged. And struck pointing. What is struck pointing? In this struck pointing, it is similar to the flush pointing, provided this is your brick and here is another brick. The thing is, it will be in an inclined position. You can see there is some inclination in the placement of the mortar. This is a modification of flush pointing. The face of the pointing is kept inclined with the upper edge pressed inside by the face of 10 mm, which drains the water easily. If you are keeping this way, if you are providing the inclination in this way, what will happen? Definitely the water will get settled here. But like when you are providing this, it will just drain off. The water will drain off in this manner. Next is rubbed, keyed, or grooved pointing. You know what is grooved? Like taking in this manner, in a curvical manner, like you are taking it. This is also a modification of flush pointing. It is formed of mid height. You calculate this, take the midpoint, you just cut it in that manner. Pointing tools are available for groove as well as for beading. It gives good appearance. And we'll see about tuck pointing. The mortar is pressed in the rack joint first, and it is finished with the first, like first you are placing the mortar, finishing it with the flush, and then what you're doing is, it is like a groove or a narrow groove is made by 5 mm and 3 mm depth. The width is going to be 5 mm and the depth is going to be 3 mm. You are going to provide such a type of tuck you are going to provide. Providing the tuck is like you're going to push it like with the 5 mm depth and 3 mm 5 mm width and 3 mm depth. This groove is then filled with the white cement slurry. Once it is done, you are going to put it with the slurry, kept projecting beyond the face of 3 mm. Like it is, you have that 3 mm, you cover it. Over that, you have the white color cement slurry. The projection is done in mortar. It is called bastard pointing or half tuck pointing. We'll see what is V pointing. Can you see? This is V pointing. This is your cement slurry, cement mortar. This is formed by forming a V groove in the flush finishing. You complete everything, you take a groove inside, that is V-shaped groove inside. Weathered pointing. This is made by taking a projection in the form of V shape. This is, you have to make this V inside. Here you are providing an external V cut. This is called weathered pointing. And that's of pointing. Next we'll be seeing about sheet piles. Have you seen sheet piles? Yeah.
Ma'am, if someone goes for pointing, does it mean that they won't give the plastering work? Like instead of plastering, they do pointing. Is it so?
Yeah. If people are not going for plastering work, they'll provide this.
Okay.
Both cannot be done at the same time. Like if people are going for plastering work, we'll just go with the flush pointing. We'll then fill the voids between both the bricks. We close the gaps, and then we go for the plastering work, and followed by the painting work. This is only for the brickwork construction.
Ma'am, are these pointing just for the aesthetic look of the wall, or because we want to add some features on the wall also, like some more strength or something like that?
No, it is only for the external look, that is for the aesthetic view. All these types of pointings can be done.
Okay.
This doesn't relate to the strength. Yes. Shall we go to sheet piles? Have you seen this type of sheet piles anywhere? Sheets. Checking of sheets along the roadside. Have you seen any sheet piles? You know what a sheet pile? Continuous steel sheets put together to make to carry over any work for any earth excavation or road construction or metro works. You might have seen so much of or any proposed bus stand is going to come, any earth excavation, any type of machinery works are going, they'll put some steel sheets. The reason for that is to prevent the sliding, those things. Have anyone seen it?
Yes, ma'am. Oh. Chennai Metro.
Oh.
Chennai Metro.
Yeah, in Chennai Metro Rail, you might have seen. Still now, like you can see those sheet piles are existing. Sheet piles are the section of sheet materials with interlocking edges that are driven into the ground to provide earth retention. Like you have to place it to prevent the earth from falling and for excavation support. Sheet piles are most commonly made up of steel but can also be formed of timber or reinforced concrete. Segments with indented profiles, troughs interlock to form a wall with the alternative indents and outends. You can see the shape is like this, like in a wavy manner it is. The troughs increase resistance to bending. The main purpose for the using sheet pile is can support the excavation, construct sea walls and bulk heads, create barriers to the groundwater flow. In also like offshore structures, you might have seen like people constructing some bridge in the inside the sea, in the middle of the sea. They want to connect it, or they want to connect a river. Riverbed is going. You have to connect this side and this side of the riverbed using a bridge. So for that bridge laying, you need to construct a pier. For that, you go for a you have to first place your sheet piles, and then you have to remove the water, go for the construction, then you have to go for your bridge work. These are the sheet piles. You can see downs, ups, downs, ups, downs, up. Sheet pile with a lateral support. This initially you place it for a shorter duration. You need to provide some lateral support. When the length is less, you need to provide some lateral support. If you're going into deep, you can place it using the machineries. You can place it using the machineries, which will be very firm tight to the ground. That time you will not be requiring any lateral support. Sheet piles, we'll see the properties with the materials. This type of structures, do I have time to continue? Yes. Okay. Type of structure, we'll compare with wood, reinforced concrete and steel. Type of structure is short span and temporary structure, permanent river embankments, canals and other marine structures. The steel, cellular cofferdams, sea walls, breakwater and artificial islands. For this development of all those structures, we can go for lateral load. It is light, medium load and it can bear heavy load. Connections, it is tongue and groove connections. This is also tongue and groove. This comes in an interlocking pattern. The remarks, it requires preservative, not suitable for soil or stone. Toes cut with oblique face to facilitate easy driving and interlocking. Like everything is going to be your nuts and bolts. You can fix this using the concrete sheets will be available. You can fix it. The grooves and provisions of nuts and bolts will be there. You can just fix it in that manner. Here, yeah, as you know, like you have interlocking bricks nowadays. Likewise, you have interlock sheets that you can just get it connect to it. That will be impermeable to water. It will not let water to through, and it is good resistance to heavy driving stresses. Excellent water tightness. Length increased by welding or bolting. You can like increase, or you can just if the length is thing you want to further increase it. Again, you have the interlocking pattern for that. You can raise the vertical member also. Sheet pile installation. We'll see. This is a sequential manner. Sheet piles are installed in a sequence to design the depth along the planned excavation perimeter. Like once you are done, you have to go like they start their construction initially by covering using the sheet piles. So I've seen so much of for below grade parking structures, basements, pump houses.
Your voice is breaking.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is breaking.
Am I audible now? My network connectivity is also good.
No.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah, ma'am.
Shall I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now you can continue.
Okay, thank you. Sheet pile walls, they are used to support the excavation for below grade parking structures, that is your basements, pump houses, foundations, to construct cofferdams, that is for the offshore constructions, and sea walls and bulkheads, like everything. This can be used for your on, in your inland as well as in your sea land. Both thing it is useful. It depends upon which region you want to, which soil you want to construct, and how much depth you want to excavate. Depending upon the depth, you can go for either steel or wooden sheets. Permanent steel sheet piles are designed to provide a long service life. Vibratory hammers are used to install this. You can place it using the vibratory hammers. If soils are too hard or dense, an impact hammer can be used to complete the installation process. When vibrations are concerned, the sheets are hydraulically pushed into the ground. You'll see few images. Here you can see it is like the help of the crane you are able to fix it. Here you can see you are able to just push it in, that is you are able to insert it into the soil using the machineries. Here you are done on both sides. You can place it exactly between that using the equipments. To take any locality, starting from the wastewater disposal area from there, and for the bridge construction, for the offshore structures, for the shore structures, and for the normal building structures, for everything you need this steel sheet piles. Can you see this brown shaded areas? There are so many types. Let's not go detail. We'll see what is sheet pile, like what are the installation process, that alone we'll be seeing. A very basic thing. I think we'll wind up the class. Can you see? Like how they are installing it. And this is in the seawater, they are installing sheet piles. Installation of sheet piles under seawater. And here this external things are sheet piles. You can see for this construction of this bridge pier, you need to externally cover it with sheet piles. Only then you can start your reinforcement works and you can raise it above. Yes. We'll see what is shuttering, centering in the next class.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Any
ma'am.
doubts as of now? Any doubts as of now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. You can leave the meeting.
No, ma'am.